Hi, I'd like to welcome you again to the Boffomundo Show, which, by the way, has now a new look and a new name. We're now called the All Ears Boffomundo Show. You can see our new little sign over here. We'd like to thank Mr. Tony Harrington, who's president of All Ears Records, #1. Who's president of All Ears Records, #1. Thank you very much for our show today.
Thank you for calling me.
Well, you're welcome. We're glad to have you. I'd like to start off the questioning. The early and mid-'70s in Italy seemed to have a great deal of progressive bands. Progressive music seemed very, very prominent at that time. Could you describe to us a little bit about that scene and how it has evolved into the current scene today?
Okay. Basically, there was a big change between the music of the 60s and the music of the 70s in Italy.
Mm-hmm.
And people would go and hunt for those records, mostly British bands coming out, and would hunt in record shops, mostly imported. And so bands like Genesis and Gentle Giant were known a lot in Italy before they ever made it in their own country. I remember Gentle Giant going around and buying cassettes in Italy because they even have cassettes out in England.
Really?
Okay.
Uh-huh.
And the progressive scene, what did to Italy was to bring out musicians from Italy to start to do their own music with a lot of influences naturally, but for the first time in 1970, two groups like Leorma and PFM came out with their original material. Never happened before. Record companies would never let groups record their own music or arrange their own music.
You're kidding, why not? What was the reason?
Because they thought they were not good enough. So what every band in the 60s in Italy would do what is called cover, which is using like an American or English song and just changing the lyrics to it and sing it with the arrangement very similar to the original one.
Mm-hmm.
And so the 70s was a really big change, like writers, new writers and new arrangers, because groups were doing all this work. And what was most amazing was like PFM went #1. It was the first group ever to go #1 in Italy. Probably so far it's the last.
Was it a single or an album that went to #1?
Both.
Both.
Both, right.
Amazing.
And so from that, a lot of bands started out working, and why they picked up more on British bands than American bands, I have a theory about it, okay, that I'm going to tell about.
Okay.
Like coming out of a dark age, as I can tell from Italy, because music was real bad, like very middle of the road, very old-fashioned type. And we didn't have any concerts anywhere, so we couldn't really see the people playing. We couldn't see the old bluesman player playing. We couldn't see the new drummer playing. We couldn't see the new singers performing. And so musicians in Italy had to get closer to music, had to listen to records and study the records, okay, and reading all the album cover notes. And listening to the albums. And I think the British bands rely a lot on technique more than feeling. And so for somebody who wants to learn technique, the bands coming out of England offer more. Why in America is very based on the feeling and on the actually, playing very relaxed, not a very built and square
well,
thing.
in other words, from America, it's more from the soul. It's the gut feeling instead of the technique, the chops.
Right, but in here, in America, you're very lucky because the young kids can see the other musicians playing, so you pick it up right away.
Right.
Like I remember Aquafragile had to go and buy the Woodstock album and listen to it many times to understand the tuning of the guitars, because no one knew that you could tune your guitar in a different way, like open tuning. Okay, so on the album, I think like Stephen Stills talking and somebody in the back is tuning up. So we picked up that, you know, hey, oh, that's how they do it, you know.
I see.
So it sounds like very school, you know, very elementary school, but that that's what it was.
Are you saying that there was and is nowhere in Italy to see music? You're saying that there was no way for you to see.
Right. The only concerts were those guys playing those covers numbers, and they were not doing a good job.
Was it a concert like where you pay to go in and you sit down in a seat, or was it like a dance or a party or something?
Okay, well, it was mostly a dance floor type thing, where a band would have maybe 45 minutes to have their show, and all the rest was slow numbers or fast numbers. Okay, so beside the Beatles and the Rolling Stones came to Italy, the very first concert they had in Italy was by the end of 1970, I think, or beginning 1971 with Jethro Tull. And that all started the whole thing. Like Jethro Tull came to Italy, and flutes, everybody started buying flutes.
And jumping around and standing on one foot. Yeah.
So now what has happened is that progressive music in Italy is no more. This is due to various facts. Well, one is that disco took over very strongly, and second is that some like a political type of thing that killed the concert situation.
It sounds to me like it was never alive to be killed.
Well, it started, but see, this is very difficult to explain. You know, in Italy, like the political situation, mostly leftish and very you know, out there. They came out of the idea that rock music or progressive music is the music of the masses, and shouldn't be paid for it. I mean, musicians should play free.